Hi everyone, it's the Geeky Fox, and today I will be discussing, the types of fears or hesitations that that you do come across when you do start your own business or start your own venture or take the path least followed. It's a very daunting task, creating a business out of nothing. And in the last video, I spoke about the steps that you should be taking if you are thinking about more of a remote working lifestyle. Things like skilling up, things like, potentially remaining in a sort of generating a source of income. So maybe possibly staying on with your full-time job, or maybe simply cutting down your hours, allowing some more space to take on more information and more skills, but, still having one source of income so that stress level is maintained as far as maintaining your bills and all the rest of it. But generally speaking, when you are starting your own venture, it's very, very daunting. And quite often people that have this goal in mind have thought about it for quite some time. It's something that they've put up on a pedestal, and they're very fearful as far as it failing. And I just want to give you some tips as far as how to counteract those feelings, and let you know that all these emotions and feelings are quite normal. And even the most successful people, if you look at the richest people in the world, they have failed countless times. Even people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all those sorts of people, I'm sure, have failed thousands of times. And we need to get over these hurdles, because every single one of us has a purpose. And it is a real shame not to work through all these hurdles, because ultimately, where you get to, or the goal that you achieve, may evolve over time and may change and morph into something else. But it is the journey that is the most important thing, and we gotta remember that. So I just want to discuss a few things that may come up if you are taking the path less traveled, or you are venturing out on your own, whether you want to look into more of an entrepreneurial sort of role or remote working lifestyle. All of these kind of business ventures are a lot more insular. They're a lot more sort of independent. So it forces you to kind of look inward and really address your insecurities and all the fears that come up. I'm telling you, if you want to work on self-development and evolve as a person, start your own business, or start your own venture, or decide to do something outside of the box. It'll bring up everything that you need to work on, and everything that's kind of been festering just under the surface will come up for clearing and for, you'll have to work through all these emotions. So, these are some of the things that I came across, or I felt, when I started this business venture. And, I'm nowhere near the end goal, and I'm starting to, even though I'm so early in my journey, but I'm already seeing that the ultimate goal is already morphing into something different. And I'm starting to appreciate the journey as much as, this really high in the sky goal that I have. So my relationship to the end goal is changing, and I'm appreciating, the journey and the steps that I'm taking and the things that I'm learning along the way, probably more than the actual goal. And that's ultimately what you want. You want to enjoy every moment of this journey, and you need to realize that, sort of looking into a remote working lifestyle, or looking at starting your own business, it's a really good opportunity for you to analyze yourself and your personality and your characteristics, because it's such a private relationship with you're in a relationship with yourself, really, because you're creating something out of nothing, and it's all you. You're the main contributor in this entity or this venture, and it really kind of shines a light on everything that's going on within yourself. But which can be quite scary, and it was scary for me at first, but it almost provides like a mirror where you can sort of reflect. It's very clear to see what you need to work on, because it's almost like a direct mirror to your soul, basically. So the things that I kind of came up with, or sort of felt when I started my own business, I think the number one fear that everybody has, that is kind of starting their own business venture, is the fear of failure. And I want to kind of dissect that a little bit more. You know, why is there such a big fear of failure? I think it's because I'm kind of referencing my own experience and what other people have told me as far as, you know, the big goals that they have in their lives and the big dreams that they have. The fact, you know, we quite often work up this dream so much, you know, and we sort of discuss it with other people. We kind of ponder on it for quite a long time before we even start the journey of attaining this goal. So the fear of failure is quite sort of palpable because it's something that's quite often close to your heart. It's something quite often that you've been thinking about for a very, very long time. And the simple fact of, you know, the fact of it sort of failing, I can't get my words out. The fact that it could fail, you know, and the weight that you have put on this goal and how important it is to you, you know, it could be quite devastating. So I think the fear of failure is number one. And you need to, I think the most important thing is to soften your expectations and to work on becoming more flexible, because, you know, the goal that you might want to attain very, very desperately might actually change and morph into something completely different. And I quite often, you know, talk to people that have, you know, developed their own businesses and created their own personal brands and so forth. And, you know, so a lot of them have this overarching goal, but you know, sort of 2-3 years into it, you know, their approach changes and their goal ultimately changes as well. So you need to soften your expectations, and you need to become a little bit more flexible. Now, the other thing is, you know, fear of taking on too much responsibility. Now, you know, I'm just going to move this because I'm in a funny position here. I'm just trying to find a spot where, you know, there's, you know, some nice lighting. So my room at the moment is the best. So I think what was I saying? Fear of taking on too much responsibility. Now, if you are in the corporate environment and you're employed by a company or whatever, you've got your superannuation, you've got your consistent income, and quite often it doesn't really matter whether you give 100%, you know, every single day. You are still going to get a paycheck. But when you move into more of a remote working lifestyle, an entrepreneurial role, that shit doesn't fly anymore, unfortunately. And you have to take accountability for your own success, and you have to take 100% ownership of, you know, making something work and making something happen. So again, you know, it's a lot more responsibility, and, you know, there's pros and cons to starting your own business. And I think that if you are the type of person that's quite a hard worker, you're a type A personality, you know, you're driven by sort of independent sort of success and work ethic, then I think that, you know, this kind of business venture is very good for you. But, you know, it is a mind shift as well. You know, a lot of people that have come from the corporate world, you know, need to retrain their brain, and they need to think differently as far as, you know, the kind of workload that you need to take up day to day. So that's another thing that is kind of like really prominent in people's minds. You know, especially kind of making that jump from a corporate world to a remote working lifestyle. You know, you need to really assess how much, you need to understand the amount of work that goes into developing your own business, especially on the front end, you know. I'm kind of looking into a business opportunity at the moment, which is almost ready to launch. I've got everything sorted, but the next sort of couple of weeks I'm going to start, you know, the business activity. And I know that the extra time that I take to develop some business, processes in the beginning, making sure that my CRM is up to date and that it can sort of cater to large volumes of calls, for example, just an example here. But, you know, spending time setting up your business so down the track, you know, things run a lot more smoother. You know, a lot more work needs to be implemented at the beginning of a business, because you are trying to implement some business strategies and business processes that are going to make your life easier down the track. And you need to have that foresight. You need to have a long-term vision, you know, with creating your own businesses and moving into more of a remote working lifestyle. You have to think down the track. You know, I know that I could have started calling people, you know, with this business that I've created sort of 2-3 weeks ago, but I knew that if I waited a little bit longer and I got some legal advice and I implemented some more business strategies, that was going to make, you know, making those calls a lot easier and logging information and making sure that I had a CRM system that could cater to the large workload that I potentially could be creating, then you need to have that long-term vision when you are creating business systems and processes. So your mindset completely changes. You're not kind of looked after by a manager, by a CEO. It's all you know, you're the admin person, especially at the beginning of a business. You are in charge of admin, you're in charge of sales, you're in charge of business development. You know, and I, you know, looking back at my experience, I've got quite a few sort of different work experience roles. You know, I've got account management experience, I've got sales experience, I've got interior design experience, I've got all sorts of, you know, experience. And my skills kind of roll up neatly into a really good profile, you know, and I think that I'm a really good candidate for sort of creating a remote working lifestyle because of my personality and my, you know, my work history as well. But you know, when you're fully in charge of your success, and that's a very, for some people it's a little bit of a harder pill to swallow because they have gotten used to getting that consistent paycheck. And you know, granted as well, a lot of corporate sort of roles and organizations, a lot of it is, I remember I had a account management sales role. I won't even mention the company or anything, even suggest, you know, what kind of industry it's in. But I, you know, walking away from that role was a very, very stressful position. And, you know, it was quite heavily based in reporting and KPIs and all that sort of stuff. And there were so many different levels of management above my level. And, you know, coming away from the role and actually sort of, you know, once I left that role, I realized how little customer service was involved in my role. It was more, we were reporting on reports. Like, it was fucking ridiculous. I remember we used to have meetings and discussing like all sorts of fluff, and you know, I just felt like things weren't getting done. And quite often, you know, when you are a type A personality and when you do have an entrepreneurial mind, you know, these kind of roles and this kind of business activity really pisses you off because, you know, being in roles where things don't get done, there's multiple levels of management and there are certain people that just are there to get a paycheck. It really kind of pisses you off. And usually if you are a really good worker or you have you're a little bit more morally sort of, what's the word? Having sort of stricter morals, you kind of get pissed off with those kind of roles and having those kind of jobs. And they just weren't for me. And that's why I kind of started thinking about, you know, moving into more of a remote working lifestyle because I wanted to be more accountable for my own success. And I wanted to be the manager of my own future. And, you know, it's a very, it's a huge mind shift, you know. And what else have I got here? Yeah, fear of stepping outside of your comfort zone. That kind of, you know, sort of highlights what I just mentioned. But, you know, when you do have a manager, like I won't go into it again. It's just repeating what I said before. But, you know, you are getting outside of your comfort zone. Nobody is telling you that, oh, listen here, so and so, you need to get management experience. I suggest you do this and this course. You are completely accountable for your own success, and you know, you need to use your intuition. You need to use your common sense, and it doesn't come naturally for a lot of people. So I think that moving into more of a remote working lifestyle, you need to constantly upskill. You need to constantly be on the hunt for more information because you are competing with all sorts of people and all sorts of remote working businesses as well. You know, you need to be on the forefront of new knowledge and new sort of business processes, and you need to be tapped in and you need to have your finger on the pulse for what's going on out there. So you're in charge of all that, and you will, especially with social media, like, you know, it's you could be discussing, you know, you could be hearing about some social media what do you call it, business strategy that's that kind of helps your business, and 2 weeks later there's something new that's come out and you have to learn. I did a digital marketing course not so long ago. I think I've discussed it in my previous video, and it's almost redundant because all the information that I kind of learned, I just feel like it's outdated. The course was still kind of discussing Twitter, before it became X and all that kind of stuff, just as an example. Social media and digital marketing is on the fastest train, and you need to keep up with it, because being a having a remote working lifestyle, you're predominantly online, you're depending on sort of digital marketing to kind of push your business and so forth. And if you are not on the ball with all this kind of stuff, you will be left, for dust. So you need to keep up with all of that. Now, what else have I got here? Overanalyzing and beating yourself up if things are not perfect. Now, and that causes analysis paralysis. So I'll just dive deeper into that. I know that I'm the kind of person, I know that other people are sort of big picture people, and they're good at sort of managing a team or whatever. But I'm the kind of person, I'm a double Scorpio if you look at my sort of chart. So I'm very, very meticulous, and I have actually been accused of this in the past. I remember I had a sales role quite some time ago, and my manager, no word of a lie, she said, the problem with you is that you over-service customers. Like, how is that even possible? But I'm an overanalyzer, I'm an overthinker, and moving into more of a remote working lifestyle, I've had to really sort of unpack that and deconstruct it and kind of look at that further, and change the way I view that sort of concept, because when you are creating your own business, you can't overanalyze. Sometimes you just got to do it, and you've got to assess the damage, because that's the best way of learning. If you get stuck into making sure that everything looks perfect, then you're going to stunt your growth, and there's not going to be what's the word, how do I describe it? The best way to learn is just to make mistakes and push yourself into the deep end. That's the best way I can describe it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I remember when I was doing Mark Atwood's digital marketing course, and he predominantly discusses kind of YouTube and how to create titles and how to create thumbnails and how to do this and to do that, down to the, whether titles should have capital letters or not. I got bogged down and so sort of like, what's the word? I thought that all the details were really, really important. And he tends to repeat in his when you do his course, anyone that's interested and has looked at the link that I have provided in the last remote working life remote work video, I provided a link to his course. But he repeats many times throughout his course that you just need to go for it. You need to jump into the deep end, and you need to make the mistakes, and you need to be okay with that. And like exercise, just repeat. Just make sure you're just getting out there and making mistakes, because that's the best way to learn. What else have I got here? And expecting a linear journey. I've kind of touched on that on the other points, but you need to let go of attaining this kind of goal that you've got on this really high pedestal, because it will change over time. Things evolve. I remember when I first started, and I kind of thought, I had a really sort of strict timeline of, first 2 weeks I want to do this, and next month I want to do that and achieve this and this and this. It was very sort of, I wanted to kind of knock things off really, really quickly. But when you start your own business, and when you are looking at more of a remote working lifestyle, you have no idea how much shit comes up that you don't expect. I'll just give you an example. When I first started kind of looking into this sort of business activity, I thought, okay, great, here we go. I'm going to create a business name. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then all of a sudden, I kind of fell to my knees, and I realized that I had a really huge fear of criticism and judgment. And it kind of wiped me out for, no word of a lie, 3 to 4 weeks. And I really had to unpack that, and I needed to find the source, and I needed to kind of come to terms with why I actually feel that way. What experiences in my past have made me feel this way? And I had to really unpack those feelings and emotions and clear those blockages. And the development of my business took a back seat because I had to deal with some emotional stuff that came up as well, of past traumatic experiences, and all sorts of stuff. So don't feel like you need to be on this very strict timeline, and that's the only way that you're going to get to your goal. Because if you don't deal with this emotional stuff, at the beginning of your journey, then it will become bigger emotional stuff down the track, and you are going to have to halt your business for a much longer time because it's affecting your business in a greater way. Because if you start creating a business and you deal with all the emotional stuff first, then and clear away all the blockages and all the shit, that's all the negative belief systems, all the negative patterns that are kind of stunting your growth and stopping you from developing as a person, and stopping you from evolving as a person. If you deal with all of that emotional stuff from the get-go, then your business will thrive a lot sooner, and the journey down the track will be a lot smoother because you've dealt with all the stuff to begin with. So. And all sorts of stuff come up when you're creating your own business. Fear of failure is, I think, one of the biggest ones. When you are stepping out and moving into more of a remote working lifestyle, you are doing something very, very outside the box. You will often get criticism from immediate family members, from friends. A lot of people kind of won't understand your journey. And, my suggestion is keep your goals and your strategy to yourself, because I don't think that you should be allowing people to give you advice when they are not where you want to be. As much as I love specific people in my sort of circle of friends and within my family, people that have not done anything like you want to do, they're not the people that you should be listening to. And that's why we search for mentors, and that's why we get out there and we search for, we pick up new skills, and we connect with focus groups, for example, that are talking about business and evolving as people and ascending. And, that's why it's important to connect with communities that are on a similar journey as you. So they're just a few of the things that do come up, that you do come up with when you do sort of create your own business or are moving into more of a remote working lifestyle. I think the take-home message that I want to really sort of highlight is become more flexible and loosen up your idea of what your goal is. Work on the relationship with your ultimate goal and just kind of loosen that expectation up a little bit. And I think that the journey, ultimately the journey is what is most important, and you will kind of come to that conclusion yourself over time, because 9 times out of 10, I guarantee you that your goal will change over time, and you need to kind of loosen your expectation, and you need to take it off that pedestal, because I think that's the best way that you move forward. And it's the best way for you to kind of just get in there and get your hands dirty and, get into the thick of it. So that's my advice. I hope that I've given you some good sort of nuggets to think about. And I'll see you in the next video.